Are you ready to unlock your full potential and maximize your productivity? Look no further than Productivity Smarts, the ultimate audio podcast hosted by renowned productivity expert Gerald J. Leonard. In every episode, Gerald shares captivating stories, invaluable tips, and cutting-edge strategies that will transform the way you approach productivity. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, overcome overwhelm, or simply get more done in less time, Productivity Smarts has got you covered. But that's not all. You'll also gain inspiration from real-life success stories of individuals who have achieved greatness through productivity. Plus, you'll learn the latest tools, techniques, and habits that will help you achieve a new level of happiness and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So why wait? Join us every week as we delve into the exciting world of productivity and help you unleash your full potential. Get ready to take your productivity to the next level with Productivity Smarts. As a productivity expert and host of the Productivity Smarts podcast, Gerald J. Leonard has been a proud supporter of Kiva since 2011. Kiva is a non-profit organization that helps entrepreneurs in third world countries access the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. By making a small loan through Kiva, you can help these entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, support their families, and contribute to their local economies. And with a repayment rate of over 96%, your loan can be re-lent to another entrepreneur once it's repaid, creating a ripple effect of positive change. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to make a difference in the world, consider making a loan through Kiva. With loans as small as $25, anyone can be a micro-lender and help change lives. Visit kiva.org to learn more and start lending today.
Well, today I have with me Dr. Karyne Wilner, a licensed psychologist in Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, who has over 40 years of experience conducting therapy sessions and training therapists. She is known for her work in the field of body, psychotherapy, and energy psychology. She has traveled widely, nationally and internationally, giving lectures, workshops, seminars, and teaching how the body communicates. Dr. Willner, how are you?
I'm really good. Great being here.
Excellent. Well, I'm so excited to have you, and I'm really excited to talk about your book, Releasing Toxic Anger for Women, a somatic practice and CBT skills to transform negative thoughts and soothe stress and stay true to yourself. And quite honestly, I think that should be for men as well, but I know that the publisher wanted it for women.
Right.
But I'm really excited to talk to you. Now, I always ask a couple of my guests a couple of questions, and that is because, I'm a musician as well. And that is, what is your favorite style of music?
Well, I'm old-fashioned, and I still like folk music
Okay.
and leading into country, that kind of thing.
Okay, excellent. Now, do you have a favorite song?
I don't have a favorite song, but I love Bob Dylan. For most of my adult life, I'm just a Dylan fan, and I think his stuff reads like poetry.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And obviously, the fact that Bob Dylan rings true for you, there's probably something in your early life where you heard a song that reminded you of something or brought like warm feelings and so on. That's what I normally find when someone says they have a favorite artist or a favorite song.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Excellent. Well, listen, I want to get right into talking about you and talking about your book. I didn't read your whole bio, which will be listed in the notes because you've gone through some amazing universities and colleges and, done all of your studies and your doctoral work. What do you feel like has helped you to become so successful throughout your career?
I think just taking risks in a lot of ways, or not being afraid to step forward.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. I went to the University of Pennsylvania and I studied a field called interpersonal and nonverbal communications.
Right.
And even then, I was able to get licensed as a psychologist, even though that wasn't a psychology program. but a lot of the professors had psychology degrees.
Right.
So by writing a letter to the state of Pennsylvania, I was able to move it in my direction so they could call me a psychologist. So that it's kind of not being afraid to step forward in life.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense when it comes to what it requires to be successful, because you do have to constantly put yourself out there and get really comfortable being uncomfortable as you move to new levels of experience and expertise.
That's so well put.
So I want to jump into your book because I had a chance to go through it, and there were so many things that I just found, and I thought, man, I'm not going to be able to cover everything that I really want to talk to you about in the time that we have. And that really just says that, as you're listening to the podcast and you're listening to this conversation, if you're interested in releasing toxic anger or just negative thoughts, this is a go-to book that Dr. Willner has written. There's one quote in your book that caught my attention, and I wasn't even going to start off the first question with it, but the quote is in a section on, I believe it's on uncovering. It's one of the steps in your process. And the line that you have here is thoughts and memories and images that you haven't wanted to deal with since childhood exist on a cellular level. That caught my interest when I read that.
Right. Okay.
Now, why is that so true? And how does that impact someone when they're struggling with anger or just toxic emotions if they haven't dealt with this emotion or thought or image, and it's at a cellular level, which means it's in our bodies?
Well, that's why I think the body work is so important. But before I say that, let's just say the brain starts forming even when you're a fetus in the womb, before you're born.
Right.
But you don't have memories the way until at age 3, you get sequential memories. Before that, you have experiences. You don't have words, or not many of them, but every experience you have from the fetus on affects your brain, and it's stored in your brain and in your body, so that often the things we react to come from when we're very young and we don't have a conscious memory about it. So that's why sometimes if you're just running in place or hitting a bag in the gym, or something, a memory will pop up, just like a dream at night, so that all that stuff's in you. And it can cause problems if you don't become aware of it and do something about it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yes, it does. It does, because it really drives home the research and your doctoral background in, energy psychology and just the body, and how our bodies are a record of our past.
Right. Yeah, we could say the body's your frozen history. So we want to unfreeze it and make it more like plastic, so it's movable and changeable.
Exactly. Now, in your book, you emphasize releasing toxic anger through somatic practices and CBT skills. First off, what are somatic practices and what are CBT skills? How does holding on to anger affects a person's ability to be productive in their personal and professional life?
Okay, those are several questions.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so somatic practices, soma means body.
Okay.
And so it's any kind of body work is a somatic practice. So we have, different from going to the gym where you're still working with your soma or your body.
Right.
In body therapy, you work with your body, but you do it in terms of what you want to change. So if you're afraid of people, let's say you have social phobia, I would work with my body at the same time as I might say something like, get away, come closer, get away, come closer. So I deal with my fear and that I want actually to invite people into my life.
Right.
But I'm with my body at the same time as I'm making those statements.
Is that what you mean in the book when you talk about paradoxical movements and thoughts?
Yes, exactly. So the paradox, I want you to come closer, but basically I'm an avoidant personality, so I push everybody away.
Right.
So I say, get away, get away, get away. I exaggerate it, and then I can begin to move into my yes, which is come closer. I want you in my life.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's somatic therapy.
And I also saw something about an exercise called containment and control.
Yes, containment means that you have to learn how to contain your energy. So, someone who has explosive anger, their anger is flying all over the place. It's affecting not only them, but everyone in the room or even on the block. So, they need to learn how to contain, how to hold that in and speak about whatever's upsetting them in a rational way. So,
Gotcha.
that's containment.
Okay. And then I did ask about the CBT skills. So, what are CBT skills?
That means cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's
Okay.
using your mind to, so using your cognitions or your thoughts in a positive way.
Right.
So a lot of us have negative thoughts, which fall into the category of anger or negativity.
Right.
In fact, research says that 75% of our daily thoughts are negative. That's huge.
Yes, it is.
So you want to be able to transform your thinking to when you have a negative thought to say, stop, let me change that into a neutral thought or even a positive thought.
Yes.
So it's really working with your thinking. And in doing so, you'll certainly be more productive and more positive to be around.
Jack Canfield will say when you have a negative thought to say to yourself, cancel, cancel.
Oh, I like that.
And,
Yeah.
and it basically tells your brain, hey, that negative thought I just had, just erase that and don't bring it back up again. And it's amazing because I I will do that. If I'm like get flooded with a negative thought, I'll just go cancel, cancel, and then I'll wait for a second, and then the thought will go away and it won't come back.
Fantastic.
It
Really good.
sounds like it's a CB. That is a CBT skill.
Absolutely. So it's called thought stopping.
Excellent. I didn't know the name of that one. That's awesome. So the other part of that question, because I asked a lot at one time within this, that was actually my first area of questioning. So I doubt we're going to get through any of my other questions. I'll probably cover a few more. But again, there was so much in your book that I really wanted to talk to you about. That I would just say, for those who are listening, you definitely want to. This is definitely a book you want to get because there's so many practical exercises and scientific research that's not too high level for you to grasp, but it's written in a way, and this is what I felt as I went through your book, that it's written in a way that I could easily grasp it and see exercises. And you even walk through how to do the exercises and then how long you should do the exercises and for the duration of the exercises so that you start seeing that impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing that I did ask in that first question or area was, how does holding on to anger affects a person's ability to be productive in their personal and professional lives?
Well, it can affect it positively and it can affect it negatively. So if you have anger, but you don't turn it destructive. Let's say you're angry at how they paved the street in front of your house, or they left holes in the street. That's a reason to be angry. And if you don't turn it into something negative, like I'm going to get the city, or I'm going to, I'm going to get them back, or I'm going to
Right.
punish people, but you just use your anger to write a letter to the editor, or make a phone call, or to gather a community group to do something positive about the street. So anger can be productive if it's not out of control and doesn't turn into what I call toxic anger. As long
Right.
as it's not toxic, it can be healthy anger. And that's productive. People write songs out of healthy anger. They write books out of healthy anger. They make paintings out of healthy anger. They even start companies out of healthy anger.
So, what you're saying is that being angry is not really the problem. It's how you leverage or how you position the anger in your mind and in your body.
Exactly. So anger is a feeling, and a feeling's made out of chemicals. And the
Right.
chemicals that make up anger are adrenaline, neuroadrenaline, cortisol, probably testosterone. So if those chemicals, if you get angry and you hold on to it, like holding a grudge,
Yes.
chemistry stays in your body and poisons you. And that also poisons your mind and brings a lot of negative thinking. So that's destructive anger. And that is very bad for a corporate client, a climate, or even if you have your own business
Yep.
or the productivity. If you're in a toxic place and see everyone is negative, I mean, some people might even call you paranoid in that case, then it's destructive. So what I'm saying is anger can work for you or it can work against you.
That's a really important point because, not just because of the current political climate or social climate, but I think throughout history, there's always been something going on politically. There's always been something going on socially. There's always been some unfairness here and there. But it's really those who they get angry, but then they turn it into something positive and they start a movement or they create a company or they find a fix or a solution to address something. But it's those that if they get angry and it becomes toxic, it becomes destructive. And then the end, it hurts themselves.
Exactly. And then also other people, it frightens people. People work for you out of fear, not out of respect. So toxic anger is a terrible thing.
Now, in your book, you talk about three types of anger. Can you describe what those three types of anger are?
Yeah. So there's aggressive anger when people scream, yell, throw things, stick their finger in other people's faces, say, I'm right, you're wrong. There's uh, suppressed anger where you're angry, but you act like you're not. No, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, we're fine. We're good. But inside, you're burning up, or you're frustrated, or you're annoyed.
Right.
And that kind of anger actually is the worst for your health because all those chemicals I just talked about actually stay in your body. And if they stay there for too long, leads to often heart disease, which is the number one killer in the United States.
Hmm.
But women suppressed anger also leads to cancer and autoimmune stuff. Not men, I think, not so much. Yeah, so that's suppressed. And then the third kind of anger that I talk about is what we call passive aggressive. It's almost secretive. You want to make somebody else miserable, punish them, make them uncomfortable, but you don't want them to be able to say you're doing it. So, it's like if you owe someone money, never paying it. That's a passive aggressive act. Or coming late, really late to something, or borrowing something and not returning it, or not talking to someone, that's extremely painful for the person who receives it when you cut them off. And that's a passive aggressive act.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. So let me ask you a couple more questions here. And then one is negative thoughts. In your chapter on release, because you have a 7-step process or framework in which you talk about transforming anger, right?
Sure.
And I'm not going to go through all of those, but one of them is called release it. And
Mhm.
you have an exercise called releasing negative thoughts. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'm not sure which exercise you're referring to, but the physical one is about moving those chemicals are stuck in the muscles of your body, and you don't want them there. You don't want adrenaline or neuroadrenaline in your body for any length of time.
Right.
So by moving, and that means you can get on the treadmill or you can run in place. What I suggest to people is buy, if you can, a little punching bag or fill a pillow with, or get some pillows and punch at them with one hand and then the other. Or you can even put on some drum music and create a war dance. But as you move, then say something like no, the word no, or I'm angry, or stop it, or leave me alone. It doesn't really matter what you say, but just one word or phrase. And as you move, you say the phrase. Then you stop after 2 or 3 minutes. And the next thing you do is ground. And ground means bringing your energy away from your head, because that's where anger wants to go, and down toward the floor. You can even imagine yourself having roots growing out of the bottoms of your feet. So you move very quickly, and that gets the energy to move out of those muscles. And then just stand quietly, imagining all of your energy going down into the ground, and you will bring your body into a balanced state.
It's really interesting because in modern medicine, there's so many drugs or aspirins or pills that is kind of prescribed for anxiety or anger. But really, based on what you're saying in your research, it's basically we actually have within us. Not that modern medication is not correct, that it shouldn't be used. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that sometimes instead of grabbing an aspirin or a pill or some other chemical, we should just leverage what we have inside of us, which is the somatic, the CBT skills that you're talking about in your book, this exercise of aggressively working out and then saying no, or talking to your body and then allowing the body to process. And I think that level of knowledge has in some ways been hidden from society, because most people think to do that when they're angry or they're frustrated. But in a lot of ways, they end up doing it because they end up throwing something or they tear up a room and then they say, I feel better. But if they were to be constructive with it and, do that exercise and say no and say I'm done or whatever, I'm angry, and then let the anger move, that energy, right? That energy feel of anger and those chemicals move outside of our body or move through our body down into our feet and out of our body. That would put us in a much better place as far as how to process this information and process all of the chemicals and emotions that we may feel.
Right. And if I can add to that, this book resulted from a study I was doing where I was asked to work with stroke patients. And these were people who had severe anger problems before they had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
So their anger actually was a factor in the stroke. And the protocol I gave them, including some of the exercises in the book, allowed them to learn a new way to handle anger, and it brought their blood pressure down. So I was measuring blood pressure every day for a couple months, and their blood pressure went down as they did this protocol based on having reasonable and rational responses to triggers, things that trigger our anger.
Wow. That is so amazing. I could literally sit here and talk to you for another couple hours. And I actually have questions that I'm not going to ask you because we would be here for another couple of hours and getting into the details, because I'm so fascinated by your research and everything you've done. And again, I enjoyed reading the book, and I know it's Releasing Toxic Anger for Women. But I tell you, after reading this, I was like, men need this as well. And this is really, really an important topic and a really well-written, well-researched, well-thought through, with lots of, again, exercises and ideas and things like this, that once you read it and you get it and you start practicing some of these things, you're going to see a change in your state and in your body and how you handle and be able to manage anger in your life. And so I really want to encourage people to go out and get this book, Releasing Toxic Anger for Women by Dr. Karyne Wilner. Now, Dr. Willner, how can people learn about you and get in touch with you if they're interested?
Well, they can go to my website, which is www.drkarynewilner. And Karyne spelled Karyne. So it's almost like drkaryneWilner.com. And they can also email me if they would like at KARYNEW@AOL.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I will put all of this in the notes. And it's been such a fascinating conversation, Dr. Willner. And again, this is a book that I will probably pick up a few times and really study it because there's so much in here. And just even our conversation has enlightened me to things that I kind of skimmed through that I want to go back and dig and take a deeper look into. So thank you for writing this book. And thank you for joining the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate being here and being able to talk about this important topic.
Excellent. If you're enjoying the content and finding it valuable, we would appreciate it if you could take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us and helps us reach a wider audience. If you leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. Not only does it help us improve the podcast, but it also helps us attract more sponsors and grow our community. Thank you again for your support and for listening to the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Productivity Smarts, where we help you achieve your goals and live your best life. We hope you've gained valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your productivity and increase your happiness and fulfillment. Remember to apply what you've learned and keep striving towards your goals. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring episodes and expert advice from our host, Gerald J. Leonard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and unleashing your productivity smarts.